Thanks, Jeremy. We wouldn't have done it without you.
Well, maybe you can just try it.
Yeah, Bill.
Okay.
Yes.
It's okay. Let's get started so everybody has enough time. Okay, voices off, please. Okay, let's show your fellow students respect by refraining from talking right now. Thank you. Go ahead.
Belief. What is belief? To me, belief is defined as trusting in someone or something to come through for you anytime you need help. The one thing that I truly believe in is that God has the power to save others, and that it's never too late to have a second chance in life. I believe with all my heart that God is the Alpha and the Omega, the creator of the entire universe beyond, ruler over all things, and my loving Father. He will always be there, listening to all my prayers, and ready to perform his wonderful work with whatever poems I bring before him. I also know for a fact that God does the same thing for anyone who calls on his name for help, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen God work in the lives of my own friends and family members. I tell you all the truth, as I was born in a Christian home my whole life, and have devoted my entire life to God, I don't really know how or understand what non-believers do when they find out about problems with their family and friends, and that they need to be saved from their sinful and destructive lives. But I truly believe that if they eventually turn to God and ask him to save their friends and loved ones, God will work a miracle and bring the lost to the path of salvation. I believe this for a fact, because the first person God saved in my family is my brother. My brother was born in Nicaragua, along with my sister, but was raised by his grandmother and other relatives because my mom could not afford to be able to take him with him. So she asked his relatives to always take care of him until the day that she could come and get him. As he grew up, his grandmother filled his mind with lies about my mom, and was constantly telling him fake stories about her, while at the same time, they were stealing the money that my parents were sending over for his education and were spending it on themselves. After a while, my parents decided it was time to finally move him here to the United States so that he could grow up with his real family. The first time I saw my brother, he was about 19 years old. I was about 6. So for me to finally meet my brother the first time, I was the happiest kid in the world. At first, for the first couple of months while he was here, he acted very good. It wasn't a problem at all for my parents. He would do whatever they asked. He would always come to church with us, and he was always putting others' needs before his own. But a little later on, he started to hang out with the wrong people, and they got him into drinking and doing drugs. While he was doing all this, he was working for a construction company that did work like restoring houses or putting up fences. But he ended up getting fired from it because he was always be so hungover from the night before that he couldn't show up for work the next day. After a while, my parents came to my brother and promised that he could have a car if he promised to go to college. And for a little while, he went. But eventually, he decided to stop going because he wanted to play basketball all day and thought that college was a waste of his time. But he didn't bother to tell my parents because he didn't want to listen to what they had to say. They did figure out, though, what he was doing and told him that it was time they had to get out of the house because they wanted to protect me from bad influences. For a while, my brother was going from home to home with different girls until he eventually ended up becoming homeless and was sleeping under a bridge in a new home. Unfortunately, my brother ended up joining the New Hall 13th Street gang because they offered him a place to live and survive if he joined their gang, and that they would take care of him and would have his back no matter what happened. When my mother and I found out what he was doing, every single night we prayed to God that he would save my brother's life and free him from all his pain. Eventually, my brother got arrested for stealing and for selling and distributing drugs and was sentenced to 5 years. In a way, I believe that this was God working and answering our prayers. Because even though he was in jail, he was off the streets. He was being fed every day. He had a place to sleep, and he was away from the gangs. My brother also had a little bit of a breakthrough while he was there, because he told us that all of his so-called friends in the gangs We're going to stick by him forever, no matter what. But the minute he was arrested, his friends wanted nothing to do with him, and he realized that my parents were right all along. While he was there, my mother and I prayed every night that God would help my brother to realize that the life he was living was going to get him nowhere. I am not kidding you when I say that the next day, my brother called our house and asked that we go and see him. That night, he told us that he had made a huge mistake, and that my parents, everything my parents had told him were right about everything, and that he was sorry for everything that he had put us through. As we drove home that night, my mother said that it had to be the hand of God that helped him to change, and I believe without a doubt that it was. The only thing that I was worried about was that when my brother got out of jail, he would return to his old ways. But God provided the answer, because literally, the day when my brother was released and was walking out the front door of the jailhouse, a girl by the name of Marilyn was walking down the sidewalk, and at the same time, she decided to talk to my brother. After a couple of weeks of seeing each other, they both decided to get married and had 2 beautiful children that I can call my nephews Benjamin and Nathan. Now my brother is a hard-working man, doing everything he can to provide for them, and is actually trying to get an education working with a CNC machine. And he has been the best father that I have seen so far with his kids. This alone to me is proof that God can and will save the lives of those that need to be saved. My brother was raised in one of the worst environments possible and ended up hitting rock bottom. But now he is a happy, hardworking father who has just recently given his life to God after attending one of the services at my church with us. I believe that with all my heart, God can save the life of even the most evil person, because that is something that God wants to see the most. God created every single one of us. So for him to see one of us struggle through life, it's just like how my mom felt when she slowly watched my brother stumble until he hit the floor. All it takes is the power of a single prayer to save the life of a person, and the belief that God will use this awesome power to send them onto the right path. Another example of why I know this for a fact is from my life when I was a hillbilist. I can tell you right now that I was not the man that you see before you right now. One of the biggest problems I had over it was that I didn't care at all about how people felt or what they thought of me. So I would say whatever I wanted to them and do whatever I wanted. I know that the main reason why I was like this is that I was not getting the fellowship with God that I truly needed. Because the school made chapel and everything related to God like a class. Because of this, I couldn't take my walk with God seriously. I was constantly ignoring everything that was being said to me. I swear to you that I was definitely not the kind of man that you would see singing to God with all his heart because he loved him. But one day, while I was at church summer camp, I realized just how stupid I was being. And I was being the biggest hypocrite you could ever possibly imagine. It was that same year that I truly gave my life to Christ, and that he moved me from Hillcrest to here. And the minute I walked onto campus, I instantly had a feeling of security that I had not felt in a long time. After last year here, I've never felt closer to God than ever, and I thank God every day for what he has done for me. If it wasn't for him moving me from that place that was causing me to sin, moving me into a place that he knew would save me, I don't know what kind of person I would be today. That is probably one of the main reasons why I believe that anyone can be saved, is because he saved me. This is also why I try not to judge anyone or say anything bad about them. Because it's because of what I believe in and the way I used to be that helps me to understand how God works, and that others may act the way that they do because of a deep pain that they cannot release that constantly builds up on the inside. What he did for me is something that I will remember for my entire life, and it's something that I'll use to make me who I am today. That's why God is now the #1 most important part of my life, because of what he did for me and my brother. I personally think that it is absolutely impossible to truly get anywhere in life if you do not put all your trust in God and all the things He does not to only save you, but to also save and protect everyone that you care about, and even the people that you don't really like. I know that God is always there to help us.
Good.